Imagine you're standing in one of the greatest cities in the world, and it is holding its breath. The air is just thick with prophecies of doom, and it feels like the ground itself is about to crack open and swallow everyone whole. Well, this isn't some movie scene. This was very real. This was Alexandria on the eve of a cataclysm. So let's get right into it.
You can just feel the terror in those words, right? That was the cry of a man named Medius, a singer who had worked himself into an absolute panic. And he was not alone. That quote really captures the raw, visceral fear that was gripping the pagan community. For them, the unthinkable was about to happen. Their god was about to be torn down, and they believed the whole world was going to go with him.
So what exactly was tearing this incredible city in half? Well, the answer is a fundamental clash of civilizations, and it was happening on every street corner and every home. Alexandria was basically a city with two completely different realities existing in the same space, and they were on a collision course.
And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the conflict. On one side, you've got the pagans, the followers of the old gods. They literally believe that destroying their main idol, Serapis, is going to trigger the apocalypse. And on the other side, you've got the Christians, who see that exact same event not as the end, but as a glorious, triumphant new beginning. One group's doomsday is another's victory party.
And you better believe this tension was not staying behind closed doors. The streets were a spectacle of raw human emotion. I mean, just picture it. People are kneeling and wailing, cursing the heavens. Others are just sitting in the dust, totally crushed, just waiting for it to be over. You're watching a society fracture in real time.
Okay, so while all that chaos is erupting in the streets, a completely different scene is playing out inside the new center of Christian power. Let's step into the Christian Basilica because what's happening in there is a whole other story.
I mean, the contrast is just stunning. You go from the scorching heat and the raw panic outside into this cool, calm, orderly space. There's no screaming here, just the sound of psalms being sung with this quiet, unshakable confidence. The whole atmosphere is one of complete certainty, like they've already read the last page of the book and know exactly how it ends.
And right at the center of all this calm is a deacon named Eusebius. Now, you might be expecting some fiery, fire and brimstone sermon, a call to arms, but nope, that is not his style at all. Instead, he gives his followers this cool, almost academic breakdown of what's happening. He's not just a preacher, he's a strategist.
And his first move is just brilliant, strategically. He doesn't start by condemning the old ways. He starts with inclusion. He actually acknowledges the greatness of Greek or Hellenic culture. He's framing Christianity not as something that's here to destroy that great legacy, but as its rightful heir. It is such a clever move to absorb the old world's pride instead of just trying to erase it.
Then he hits them with this incredibly powerful analogy to diagnose the present. He says the old pagan world is like a magnificent, beautiful ship, but it's carrying a deadly plague. See, he admits its beauty, he admits its splendor, but he argues that it has become a source of corruption, a danger that has to be cleaned out of the harbor.
And finally, he declares victory before the fight has even started. He tells his flock, look, that great god Serapis, it's nothing more than a dead tree. Sure, its fall will be messy, it'll kick up some dust, but it's completely hollowed out and rotten. It has no power left. He's saying this isn't some mighty god being killed, it's just a dead obstacle being cleared away. All right, so let's leave the cool calm of the basilica and head over to that so-called rotten tree, the incredible temple of Serapis, the Serapium, because inside, the last defenders of the old world have gathered for one final, desperate stand.
And man, what a crew they had in there. This was not a disciplined army. It was this bizarre collection of pretty much everyone being left behind by the changing times. You had serious philosophers huddled up with magicians and astrologers. Artists and actors were mingling with priests from temples that had already been abandoned. It was just this chaotic mix of the old world's last believers. The vibe inside must have been absolutely surreal. In one corner, you've got astrologers frantically trying to recalculate their charts, looking for some magical way out of this mess. In another, people are sitting in silent, prayerful awe. And then, in the main hall, it's a full-on end-of-the-world party. Young men and women just drinking, singing, dancing like it's their last night on Earth. Because for them, it very well might be.
And then comes the moment of truth. A giant gong rings out, and all that chaos just stops. Silence. Thousands of people push forward, their eyes glued to this huge curtain hiding their god. It ripples, and then it falls away, revealing the colossal, majestic statue of Serapis. And get this, at that exact moment, a perfectly timed ray of sunlight shoots through an opening and strikes the statue's lips, as if the sun itself is kissing its lord. The crowd just erupts in this roar of triumph. For one incredible moment, they believe. They believe their God is with them.
But here's the thing. While the pagans are looking to the heavens for a miracle, the city's leaders, both Christian and imperial, are playing a much more down-to-earth game. Cold, hard political calculation.
Okay, so put yourself in their shoes for a second. You're the Roman prefect, you're the bishop. Your job is to take down the most sacred site in the entire city without sparking a massive, bloody civil war. How in the world do you pull that off? Do you pray for peace? Do you just ask everyone to be calm?
Nope, they understood the people of Alexandria perfectly. They knew this city was driven by passion and spectacle. So their solution wasn't going to be spiritual at all. It was going to be worldly, pragmatic, and honestly, brilliantly cynical.
That was it. That was the solution. They just announced that the chariot races at the Hippodrome would go on as planned. So right as the final assault on the temple is being prepped, they offer all the young, able-bodied pagan men a choice. You can die here defending your god, or you can go watch the most exciting show in town. It was an absolute masterstroke of crowd control.
And just like that, with so many of its strongest defenders lured away by the promise of some entertainment, the fate of the Serapium was sealed. But what was truly being lost that day was so much more than just a temple.
You really have to understand what this place was. The Serapium was the successor to the Great Library of Alexandria. Its halls held hundreds of thousands of scrolls. It was a university, a museum, an observatory, and a sanctuary all rolled into one. It was the intellectual and cultural heart of the entire Hellenic world.
So ultimately, smashing the idol of Serapis was pure symbolism. The real event, the real tragedy, was the destruction of this place and everything it stood for. This was the moment the classical age was decisively and violently brought to an end, clearing the way for a brand new Christian world order.
And that really leaves us with a profound question, doesn't it? We like to think of history as this story of progress, of one age improving on the last. But this event is a stark reminder that sometimes progress can be a really destructive act. It forces you to ask, when a new world gets built on the rubble of the old, what knowledge, what beauty, what ways of seeing the universe are just lost for all time?
This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.